Driving home from the gym before I came over here, and I had a good workout, and I'm listening to Soundgarden, which is always great.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then the person, you suppose? Okay, no, I don't even want to unpack that.
I'm not a Soundgarden fan.
I don't want to unpack that right now. Even if you're not a Soundgarden fan, Chris Cornell, like, come on. Okay, no, I'm not going to get sidetracked here. So the car in front of me is covered in bumper stickers, and it put me in a state of fury. Because I fucking hate bumper stickers so much. But the worst bumper stickers known to man are outdated political bumper stickers. Like, I don't care what your burn. Like, I don't care what your political stance is. Take it off, man. I'm tired of fucking seeing, like, the other day I saw one with John Kerry.
Right.
And then the other day, like probably like a month ago, I saw one from Al Gore. It was super faded, but it was like, come on, man. Just take like a straight razor.
He really likes the guy who did the internet. I mean, like he's a diehard Gore fan. He's the same way. He's basically like, they just didn't make the the Unfortunate Truth. They didn't make bumper stickers for that, so he had to keep rocking his president there. Oh God, like I said, I don't mind political stance or whatever your political party is. Just take the bumper stickers off if they're no longer relevant. It's like, God, I just hate bumper stickers. This is completely irrelevant to everything else we're going to talk about. Exactly. But I was just angry about it. Just a little mini rant to start the episode. And I feel like there's nothing better to start with than a rant. Yeah, so, get your blood flowing. Yeah. Get things juices going. But, yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the Discord Accords with Jonathan and Steven. Hopefully we have a pretty decent episode for you this time around. It's going to be fun. Yeah, it should be. For Star Wars fans. It may not be fun for people who are like, fuck Star Wars. Well, even so, it may be like, fuck those guys for Star Wars fans. Who knows? That's true. Because, we may throw out some controversial opinions. I won't, but one of us might. Who knows? Who knows what it will bring? But we'll take a little break in there before we get into the main meat of the thing. So I was listening to, what was I reading? I don't know. I think I was reading the news, and it's basically I was reading about the hurricane down in the Carolinas and the southern part of the United States, and a really interesting little snippet came up, and the snippet was the fact that North Carolina, back in 2012, passed a law stating that you could no longer use climate science research when doing any kind of like zoning or permissions or anything, that you couldn't use research from a scientific basis to pass laws. So they basically made climate science illegal in 2012 because they didn't like the fact that the scientific community did 100-year research on the coast and said that was a bad flood zone, that if they built there, it would be unsafe. And in 100 years, it would all be underwater. So because science gave them something they didn't want to hear and would interfere with their plans, they outlawed it. They literally passed a law saying science couldn't be used. And now, there may be some issues with that, considering they built there for the past, 6 years. And now it's all going to be washed away because of, climate. A little hurricane down there, wiping away all these people. So yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting news article to read. That in this day and age, we basically, if we don't like something, we just outlaw it. And that was in 2012. 2012. How the fuck was that not like in the news or like something? What's his name? Steve Colbert made fun. He was like, "Hey man, if you don't like science, just outlaw it." Wow. Interesting side note to that. I also read recently about the fact that Texas, my alma mater, decided to remove the requirement to teach about Hillary Clinton, Helen Keller, and Barry Goldwater out of their, along with some other things, but those are three names that stuck out in their curriculum. Why is that? Teachers are no longer required to teach that information in the subject of history or whatever. They can if they choose to. The reasoning behind it was, we teach our kids about too many historical figures to remember, and those aren't as important as the others. They should spend time on more important ones.
don't get me wrong. I remember being a kid wondering, why the fuck am I learning about Helen Keller?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm alone, but it's
I'm
true.
pretty sure a lot of people don't really understand why we learned about her, like why that was so important. I mean, it's a literary figure, this, that, and the other.
But it's just weird her name was on a list.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like,
that's not the weird one. That's not the weird one, because you've had that feeling, like, why the hell should we learn about Helen Keller? And I was at the time, I was like, okay, she's interesting, whatever, but whatever. Hillary Clinton. That's an interesting one to try to write out history. We didn't even talk about her
when I was in school. I understand it was many years ago.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that thing was, I didn't talk about her with me either, but they did talk about presidents' wives. They did talk about female political figures. And hate her or like her, which most people hate her because, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but we won't go into that right now. But Pizzagate is a simple fact that she still was the first lady for 8 years. She was a senator for I don't know how many years.
She's been in politics for 4 decades.
Yeah, so why would you single her out?
Also, you can't deny the fact, love her or hate her, that isn't she the first woman to ever win the Democratic nominee, to run for president?
Yes.
So that's a big deal too.
Exactly, and so you're just basically writing out modern history you don't like, because Texas is a very non-progressive red state for the most part. I mean, but yeah. So that was interesting to me that the state educational board, voted to not require them to teach about her or Helen Keller, or it's basically, to my mind, if I were to go a little bit conspiracy on it, it's we don't want to remind ourselves of someone who ran against our president or whatever, our current Trump, and he labels her an enemy, yada yada. But whatever that is, I think it's basically it's politicizing the education. Is trying to rewrite history is what it is. It's like with Helen Keller, that was a big thing about the Holocaust. I mean, there's a lot of anti-Holocaust people out there. Barry Goldwater, I can't remember what exactly there was an issue with him. I can't remember the history on that and why he wasn't important, but he was also some other a polarizing figure back in World War I, II. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, honestly, the biggest problem I have with what you just told me is if we're going to start changing what kids need to learn about in schools, the education system is so fucked up anyway.
Why start
That's
there?
not where we need to start.
No, we start with Shakespeare.
All.
I'm just kidding.
I don't understand. That's really bizarre.
Yeah, no, like I said, it basically speaks to the current political climate, and you're just like, but why didn't someone say, what the fuck?
So basically, you just brought 2 stories to the table that have to do with either rewriting or just doing away with stuff we don't want to hear about.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take us in a different direction with something that's not soul-crushing, so to speak. And let me set a picture for you. You're on vacation. You're in Tokyo. And you're like, hey, I want to stay in a hotel. I forgot to book one. This hotel looks nice. Let's go in and check it out. You get in the hotel. You walk to the counter. There's no one around. And then a dinosaur pops out from the bushes, starts fucking talking to you, and wants to help check you in. Would that be upsetting or...
Me personally, no. I would definitely, if I was with kids, I would throw a kid at it so he could have a snack that I could run. But in general, that sounds awesome.
It sounds cool to me, and I'm sure for everybody out there, it sounds cool to you, but I urge you to look at the link in the show notes because they look fucking terrifying.
Yeah, they're not just dinosaurs. They're fairly realistic representation of velociraptors.
Yeah, and they're animatronic, and the way they move
is
everything is just weird. And the one guy they interviewed in the article said that there's a shortage of hotel manpower, apparently. So I guess their answer to that was, let's build a hotel where animatronic dinosaurs run it. I don't know how you make that leap.
I think beyond that, it's just basically let's build a hotel where robots or AIs run it. This kind of dives back into last week's episode, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
But basically it's I've heard about this before, and I read about it a little bit, and it's basically not only is it the dinosaur check-in. Originally it was 2 dinosaurs and an animatronic human. But I think they pulled the human when they went more with the dinosaur thing. So basically, it's just robots checking you in. It's you interacting with a tablet, and they make noises and move. And so
you gotta fucking raptor with a bellboy hat on.
It's so cute.
I guess, but man. Beyond that, I love dinosaurs.
Yeah, but beyond that, once you get in the room, there's little robots in the room that you can interact with or whatever. And like some woman was saying that her son just played with little it looks like a little egg with a screen, has eyeballs, and can interact and play and talk. And it's just basically, it goes along with the history of Tokyo being a very technologically advanced city or whatnot. And so, yeah, so the dinosaur theme is a new kick or whatever. And I think it's part of a chain of hotels that have weird themes, and that just happens to be its theme is dinosaurs.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking shit about it. Yeah. I do think they look scary, but I would totally stay there. Oh, yeah, I love dinosaurs, and it looks fucking cool.
It's like I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't like being in tight spaces. But I totally want to stay in one of the Japanese capsule hotels too.
Oh, fuck that. That's just like staying in a coffin, man.
Exactly. So you get in a coffin. It's like basically you can, if you get in there and you're okay with that, where you basically you go to a hotel, you check in, and then you go upstairs to your floor, and in your floor there's a bathroom changing room, and you get dressed, and they give you like a little robe or something to wear in there, and then you hang your clothes, lock into a locker, then you go to your thing, basically you're wearing your robe and maybe your underwear and some slippers, whatever they give you, and then you go to a wall, and there's an upper and a lower, and you either go down to the lower or you go to the upper, so you basically slide in feet first, your head's in the hallway, and there's a curtain that you can put, but inside there, it's basically like, 4'2" with a bed, but there's a little niche for like your phone for charging. There's a screen above you for watching TV, news, whatever. But I'm figuring if you could actually learn to stay in that and live there, you would be pretty good for a trip to like Mars or whatever. If they just built these kind of hotels into, spaceships.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I'm in.
I don't want to be on a trip to Mars. I don't want to be in a fucking coffin watching TV and shit. No thank you, sir.
Come on. Tell me if you didn't have like access to all the movies you wanted, you wouldn't be happy sitting in a dark room for a very long time. And all of a sudden, the movie's in, and you go out of the room, and look, I'm on Mars. Sweet. There's a movie theater. I'm good.
I mean, obviously, it changes the game if you're telling me there's going to be a movie theater on Mars.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the first things they're going to build, I think.
How would they get new reels sent up every time a new release happens? That can't be.
Just beam the feeds, man. We're going to set up some repeaters along the way for high-speed internet.
Okay, things are going off the rails here. I don't want to think about movie theaters on Mars. But, so, that's the Dinosaur Hotel.
Mm.
I have something equally scary, but really cool. And that is a story I read about a whale who basically breached near a boat, which is cool. It's always great to see. Everybody loves whales.
Oh, yeah.
But his fucking tail slapped the boat.
How big is the boat?
That is scary. I believe it was just a little skiff. It was not a big boat.
Well, that's not good then.
Yeah, because years ago when I was in Alaska, I think I was on it's probably a 15 to 17 foot skiff with like 150 horse on it. And we were out, and a well is just breaching, and they were about 20 yards away, and it was beautiful, and it was awesome.
Right.
But it was scary because they're so massive. So I can't imagine, like the video will be in the link that I'll post in the notes, but I can't imagine this, like this well, like, and it looks like they're in a small boat. I would say no more than 15 feet. And yeah, his tail just slaps the edge of it, and like, I know it sounds minor, but think about a well tail. Like, there's nothing minor about being slapped by a massive tail.
No, not at all. I mean, like, did it damage the boat or anything?
I don't think so, because it's one of those boats with the inflatable.
Like a Zodiac.
Yeah, kind of like that. So I don't think anything was damaged. It was in Breer Island, Nova Scotia. So, yeah, I don't know. I saw
so they
that.
were Newfies, okay. Well, Nova Scotians. That'd be interesting. I mean, like, interesting actually means scary as hell.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd be like, wow, a whale, yeah, bam, oh crap, we're going down. The whale's going to eat us.
They're just so enormous, and they don't mean to. Like, if they did come up and hit your boat, like, they're not going to mean to hurt you, but it's like they're massive, and they're just...
Kind of reminds me of Hancock when he throws that whale back out in the water and kills that boat.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a great movie. Yeah,
that was a great movie, actually. I don't know why people
promised us a sequel, but we didn't get one because everybody hated it.
Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to get a superhero? I don't think Superman's going to shove a man's head up another man's ass.
That's true.
I don't think that's going to... No matter how dark the DC universe gets, I don't think they're going to go that.
Yeah, I just don't think that's a direction they're going to go, so...
Yeah, no, I get that. It's like, but I would love to see that. Actually, no. It reminds me of the Ken Griffey.
Ken Griffey Jr., the baseball player?
No. There's a guy named Griffey or something, Kevin something Griffey or something, I don't know, whatever, that writes comics, but he does he does have some pretty funny runs on things. He doesn't take it seriously, and he actually he's one of the guys, I think it was him that did the Thanos series that I really like, where it's Thanos retires from being a supervillain. And he basically says he's not going to do anything. He takes off his armor, starts putting on pilgrim robes and shit. And at some point, they come to arrest him because he's a genocidal maniac or whatever. And they take him to his prison, and he's like, okay. So he goes to the prison. He's hanging out in the prison. All the prisoners try to start some shit, and of course he slaps them down because he's fucking Thanos. And then eventually he escapes from prison for some reason, or some guys recruit him, and he has to go. But it's just this really funny, weird, behind the scenes take on Thanos doing whatever. But there's one part where he has to confront Galactus, and of course Galactus is more powerful than Thanos, and so Thanos is trying to get his attention, and Galactus is trying to eat a planet, and and he's like, hey man, and Galactus is like, leave me, Thanos of Titan, I'm busy or whatever. And so Thanos is like, oh shit, this is gonna suck. So he summons up all his power, and he blasts Galactus out of his ship and sends him flying out on his ass, just to get his attention. So Galactus gets up what the fuck, and so Thanos I need your attention for a second, and so they have a chat. But it's just interesting that he uses all of his power, and he just basically barely knocks Galactus down. But anyway, so it's that kind of take is what I could see if he got a whole Superman may shove somebody up head up somebody else's ass. Hopefully they're not wearing horns.
It can be amusing. I really like that about Hancock was that aspect of it. He was just.
What I didn't like was there was no real villain.
Yeah, I will admit.
I think they did really well with that. Better than Ang Lee did with a fucking cloud, but in the Hulk.
Yeah. But I think the third act fell apart. Not to get lost to Hancock, but I do remember the movie, and I feel the third act with Charlize Theron and all that, I feel like it kind of fell apart.
Yeah, it's
it wasn't a bad movie, but
I think the third act would look better on retrospect if they actually made the sequel, because the sequel was actually going to be, from what I understood, 2 more people like them that also survived that had to come back, and so it'd actually be a superhuman on superhuman conflict.
Yeah, because also I would want more history about them in general, because technically they're gods.
Yeah,
so.
They are. And it's interesting also, here we are in the deep dive of fucking Hancock, was that when they're fighting in the streets and the storms start appearing, that's actually him. He doesn't know it, but he actually has Thor-like powers. He can control weather. Because he just forget? He thinks it's her doing all that, but she just has fire powers, she can do heat and things like that and make things heat up. But that was brought up by the director or somebody, that he actually has these extra powers that he just doesn't know about because he's forgotten everything since that beating in the whatever he took in Florida or whatever to make him have amnesia in the first place. But all right, enough.
So that was our quick talk on Hancock before we jump into another movie that is a split audience. That is The Last Jedi. But not just The Last Jedi. We're going to talk about where just Star Wars in general, where Disney may or may not go.
Like Wars in the Stars, like Blade Runner. I'm just kidding.
Now, with The Last Jedi, it was a very divisive movie. A lot of people hated it. Star Wars,
I'm one of them.
And it didn't make as much money as they expected.
Yeah.
So I feel I don't know if the fans they lost are permanent, or if they can win them back with the next episode.
Oh, I don't think they're permanent. I don't think it matters whether or not they win them back next or not. They're gonna make single ticket purchase off the second one. Here's the deal: they lost money from me because I only saw it once in the theaters. The Force Awakens I watched 3 times in the theaters, so they got 3 ticket prices from me. Whereas Last Jedi I walked.
Well, that's because everybody wanted to see a remake of The New Hope. I saw Force Awakens 3 times in the theater. I didn't want to see
a remake of A New Hope. I just thought it was. I knew it was basically a remake of A New Hope with better acting, better characters, and all that sort of better effects, yada yada. But at the same time, I thought it had its little, but I actually had high expectations for Last Jedi because I didn't want it to be a remake of The Empire Strikes Back, and it fucking was a remake of the goddamn Empire Strikes Back.
I think it was significantly less so. And you have to.
No, I don't, because they go to a fucking white planet. They have snow speeders. They're fighting AT-ATs. I mean, come on, it's fucking scene for scene.
They didn't really
almost.
fight AT-ATs though. Like that fight didn't really happen.
No, they fought gorilla ats or whatever
right.
the fuck those things were. And then the only difference in there was at the end of the movie. The difference was when Luke showed up. By the way, there's going to be massive spoilers on this.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, spoilers.
Yes, massive. All the movies are getting spoiled right now.
So hold on, just before you continue, are you getting into why you didn't like The Last Jedi? Because that's what I wanted to hear from you. Is this why you didn't like it?
This is it. I'm moving into it right now.
Let's do it.
And so basically, the only difference was like in the very end when Luke shows up and confronts the guy with the lightsaber, which was an epic fucking scene when a single dude walks out and does the opposite of what he's talking about the whole time. It's like, what do you expect one man to go out with a laser sword and take on the entire First Order? It's like, yes, that's exactly what we fucking wanted to see. And that's what he gives us at the end, except for the twist of him not actually doing it, which is annoying to me because there was build-up in the no longer canon shit back in the day that Luke was so powerful that he had to pull back. You know, that he was this massively powerful guy, and he knew it, and he couldn't afford to be corrupted. He couldn't afford to let his feelings show, and so he did pull back a lot in even the pre-canon stuff, that all the books, whatever, that the few that I've read, the comics that I've read. But in one comic, I mean, he walks out in front of a bunch of AT-ATs, waves his hand, they all fall down. Because that's how powerful he was, and he knew that he couldn't continue to be that powerful out in the universe because he would actually become a polarizing figure as bad as the Emperor, with people trying to worship him, people trying to do this. So he actually pulled back, got in the shadows, let Leia and the Republic and the Senate and all that shit basically make the rules, set the thing up to basically wane the Jedi out of it. I mean, he's still in the pre-canon. There was a lot more Jedi action because he did train like the kids of Solo, this, that, and the other. But back to the movie, I thought it was a bitch out. I really did not. I mean, have him show up, have him actually fight Kylo Ren, and then lose. That's fine. Again, it would have been back to like fucking Obi-Wan dying, but that would have meant more to me, a personal sacrifice like that, than basically him just becoming a decoy. You know, to let them escape, you know, and the fact that one little force trick, like, killed him, that's bullshit.
Well, if we're going to talk about that part, I will go ahead and add in real quick. One of my biggest complaints with the movie was, how many times are they going to mention hope? How many times are they going to shove that theme down your throat? And I'm okay with that, but the movie ended on not a very hopeful note. You're talking about 30 people.
Did Empire Strikes Back.
Well, you're talking about 30 people that left, like, I don't know, like it felt like a really weak ending. And I'm a Rian Johnson fan, the writer and director, and he caught a lot of hate.
Brick, right?
He got a lot of hate for this movie, huh?
Did he Brick?
Yeah, he did Brick and he did Looper.
Yeah,
and
both good movies.
I'm a fan of him, but I think they kind of gave him too much reign without enough focus, like without enough, like, we're gonna double check you and see what's going on.
That's where I get to. I mean, a lot of people complain about the casino, the Xenobot or whatever, that fucking casino world. I can't remember the name of it.
I think the casino storyline is one of the most unnecessary storylines I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, but here's the deal. That's where they gave him too much political freedom in the fucking creativity. And his whole point, Cantobite's whole point, has nothing to do with giant horses running through or whatever. It's literally all about that kid at the end with the fucking broom. He basically wanted to take the story away from the Skywalkers. That was Rian Johnson's whole point of that movie, was to basically end the Skywalker Jedi reign and basically say that it's not, and that's the whole thing with Rey's parentage not being important, is because it's not, he doesn't feel like it should be about a certain family. It should be about the Jedi, the Force users in general. And so the kid with the broom at the end or whatever, that was the whole point of Cantobite. Was that she gave the ring to that kid, and that kid felt, that he was important, so now he can start using the Force, become a Jedi, fucking blah, 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 blah. And I get that. That's awesome. I get that. But that's not what the core trilogy, quadrilogy, whatever the fucking nineology is. That movie is about that fucking family. And at this point, honestly, like, the only one left is Leia in the movie, but how the fuck are they going to do that without Carrie Fisher? I don't know. By the way, I'm on record right now, they should have digitized the fuck out of her. They should have put her in the movie as a digital person. I'd have been 100% okay with that.
Well, the problem is...
I disagree with everybody saying it's disrespectful. Fuck that. It's a movie. She signed on to a role.
Yeah, I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I think that it's going to be weird having her in the next movie. I think it's just going to feel weird because of the directions they took in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
and obviously JJ Abrams already said she will be in the next movie. So the scene when she gets sucked out of the plane and then brings herself back in, that was another scene where I was like, this isn't cool or epic. Like, it didn't land the way they wanted it to.
Yeah.
Because with Luke being gone, like the other movies, correct me if I'm wrong, and just in canon in general, she is a Skywalker. She knows how to use the Force.
Well, she has the Force flowing through her, but she's never been, according to the movies, as far as I can read from the movie verse, she's never been trained in the Force.
So it's a weird time to do it. It was a weird scene. Like the whole scene, that 60 seconds transpired very awkwardly. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I love Kylo Ren. I love what they're doing with him. He's very tortured. I think it was a cool thing they did, moving him away from the mask and kind of shedding his skin from Darth Vader. Yeah. But it was...
Hopefully he shows up in khakis and a Hawaiian shirt in the next one.
That would be quite the change. But I don't know. Like, to my mind, there are two scenes in the movie that just really lifted it. Like, there are movies that I remember watching where it's like, okay, I'm cool with this entire movie because of that 2 minutes. And like the fucking Wolverine scene, what was it? Was it an Apocalypse? When they actually met him, and he like went ballistic, and like that scene alone made up for that shitty movie.
Every motherfucker in the whole place.
So like that was cool. So man, that fucking scene when they go in, like Snoke went out like a bitch. I think everybody can agree with that. Like everybody wanted more Snoke. They wanted him to do more. But that scene where Rey and Kylo Ren fight what are they called? The Red Guard,
the Royal Guards.
The Royal Guards. Yeah. That scene and the greatest use of light speed ever put on camera when she splits the ship, like those two scenes alone really left me like in a state of that was just so well done.
Yeah, no, the one where she blows the ship up, that was extremely epic. And what the fuck, because that's never been mentioned. I mean, like they did two things in two movies that have never been mentioned in the entire canon. And I get that's, you know, why not? It could be possible. The Millennium Falcon going out of light speed and beating the shields on the face. Like, why did he do that on the Death Star? Don't know. Could have blown up 2 fucking Death Stars. Real easy with that trick. You know, launch a missile at hyperspace, you know, modulate it down, shoot it inside the core, fuck it, you know. Or, run it into it at hyperspeed, blow up the Death Star. I mean, that was an epic scene. The one, Force Awakens, actually, I just still think it's dumb as hell and lazy story. Lazy
Which one in the Force Awakens?
Where they use the Millennium Falcon and they come in and they were going to the whatever the fucking death planet is. And they come in with like light speed, and they come out of light speed underneath the shields.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's like, what does speed have to do with motherfucking shields?
Well, let me ask you this, because obviously you know way more about Star Wars than I do. My biggest beef with that movie, because like I said, I liked it, but I'm not gonna rehash all the reasons I like it. I'm there to talk about this. Yeah. Aside from the casino storyline, which from a writer's perspective, like I've watched a lot of movies, like and like just looking at narratives and plot points and all that. That story, as you said, was there just for the kid. They could have done that in probably 10 minutes and saved all that social commentary and saved a ridiculously awkward Benicio del Toro performance that was so strange. But either way...
Originally that was supposed to be Lando, or they talked about making that Lando.
That would have been awesome. Cut it out, having Lando in that... I know he's going to be in the next one, but it would have been cool to have him in this one. But that scene... Fuck it, whatever. Anybody that's watched the movie probably thinks that scene is shit. The biggest problem is the fuel. That really irked me. We have never had anyone mention fuel ever, as far as I know. Fucking ever. Yeah. So before we know it, there's a chase. And for anybody that, obviously you can't see me, I just did quotation marks. Because like it's a chase where it's like, we're barely outrunning this. Mm-hmm. Oh, but don't worry. We'll just trail behind them the entire movie because they got to run out of fuel at some point. They mentioned fuel this and fuel that, like for the second half of the movie. Yeah. And it just really pissed me off.
Yeah, it's like all the X-Wings flying, X-Wings, A-Wings, B-Wings, fucking Death Stars. It's like no one's ever once said there was gas in this universe. Everything's just like, well, we have infinite energy. What are we going to do with it? Let's put it in the ships and fly around. Fuck it. I mean, honestly, it's funny because, lightsabers technically are battery powered and they have to be recharged. Never mentioned in the movies, I mean, shit like that. It's like, so all of a sudden they're just throwing this plot twist in there. Oh, it's fuel. Yeah.
And also, why couldn't she just tell him the plan? That was the other thing where I'm just thinking at the end of the movie when all is revealed, what was that, Laura Dern, who played that part? Yeah. Why couldn't she just tell Oscar Isaac's character the plan? What's his name? I can't remember.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah, why couldn't she just fucking tell him, this is what I'm doing? Like, you really had to make him angry enough to commit mutiny?
Yeah.
And, like, I don't understand. That whole thing was just like, yeah, we're going to confuse the shit out of you, make you do something stupid, and then get bitch slapped.
Well, again, that was just fucking lazy writing so you could prove, that make Poe's character grow. You know, you basically had to kill somebody off because he was
Well, I mean, he was a one-dimensional hotshot pilot. They had done nothing. Like, and I think me and you even talked about this already. We didn't like the opening to this movie.
Yeah.
When he's making jokes to the the Hitler wannabe, what's his name? General Hux?
Hux, yeah, Hux.
Like, when he's making those jokes about his mom and stuff, like, that was so bizarre.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, that kind of humor hasn't ever existed in
the
Star
jokes
Wars
didn't
uniform.
land. Next thing you know, the next movie, they'll be like, fuck the rebellion.
Yeah,
You're like, when did you guys start saying that?
Yeah.
Like...
It's like, your mama sucks, bitch. You're like, whoa, that's not something that's ever been around. But yeah, it's just...
But so I want to talk more about the Star Wars universe, but before we move on from Last Jedi, I want to ask you once again, more about the Star Wars. The opening crawl really bugged me. That was the first... When I sat in the theater and watched that movie, when the opening crawl came on, I thought I was going to hate the movie. I did not think I was going to walk out of there thinking this was my favorite Star Wars since the Empire.
Right.
Why did we need a crawl? It was pointless. Because the movie takes place right after. Like, the movie, like there is no time. All the other ones, there was time in between.
Tradition.
I know, but I just felt like it was so forced and so unnecessary. Like, it just, I don't know, it really bugged me. And I've seen a few people mention it, and they feel the same way, but I haven't seen it be a massive issue to anyone.
Yeah, it's not going to be a massive issue because most of the people like me just like, it's a crawl. Star Wars has a crawl. The interesting thing is Solo didn't have a crawl, as far as I recall.
Yeah, neither did Rogue One have one?
I don't think Rogue One had one either. No, maybe not, actually. No, so it's like, so that was actually more pronounced to me than actually a crawl that means nothing. It's like, whatever. You read the crawl once, but you never read it again every time you watch the movie, so... But,
well, speaking of Rogue One, you mentioned another movie that I think we both kind of liked. Like, it wasn't bad.
I actually really enjoyed Rogue One.
Well, I liked it. I won't say I really enjoyed it, but either way, the 2 minutes at the end made up. I didn't give a shit what you showed me at the beginning.
Yeah, you could have been like fucking Ewoks for an hour and a half. And
Don't talk shit about Ewoks, man.
No, we're going to get into Ewoks. But no, you could have been a whole fucking movie about useless, stupid shit, and at the end have Darth Vader murdering people. And I'd be like, yeah, man. Yeah, I will sit through all this shit to watch Darth Vader murder people for 2 fucking minutes.
Because it was just such a great scene.
And then you sit there and you're watching that and you're like, why didn't he just fucking murder Obi-Wan Kenobi as well, you know?
Yeah, also, like, my thought was...
Because that was like, what, a week later?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And my thought was, like, this may be naive, but why couldn't he just grab the ship? Like, why couldn't he grab it?
That's the fluctuating power of the Force and yada yada. I mean, like, technically Yoda probably could have, could Yoda rip apart a, fucking Death Star if he wanted to? I mean, those are the kind of questions, like, I guess it's like how do you determine power level of the Force? I mean, if you want to go deep dive nerd, I can, but...
Well, by the way, if you're listening to this, we're assuming you've seen Rogue One and all that, so if you haven't, like...
You should.
Yeah.
It's good, and we didn't ruin anything other than the last 10 minutes, or last 2 minutes, which is definitely something worth...
It was a movie that everyone knows. Anybody that watched Star Wars knew how that movie was going to end.
Yeah.
Like, this is literally...
But they didn't know exactly, like, to the minute where they were going to drop that off.
Like, I remember watching that movie, and I walked out thinking, Disney just made $100 million plot hole filler.
Yeah.
That's all they did, was they were like, hey, let's make a movie about how they got the plans. Everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, everyone didn't have to. Yeah. See, now I'm back to the fact that I actually liked Jen Erso's character. I'm annoyed that she died.
I like her character,
I think her character would have been really good to add into canon and have more stories about. But
I think if they had made their mind up better, like, I know we've talked about the behind-the-scenes turmoil. Yeah. I think if they had made their mind up and actually not... I felt like I watched the movie edited by 4 different people. Yeah. Like, it just didn't flow. I think if they had nailed it from the beginning and not fucked around as much, I think we would have gotten, like, a super awesome movie. Like,
yeah, I think because all the points were there. I mean, they basically took a universe that it was expansive, amazing, and awesome, and then they added in some diversity. That was the first movie where they added gray. Like, with that one guy, I remember his name, the main male protagonist, the guy who, like, killed the guy, shot a guy in the leg and walked away, or killed him so the troops would give. That was a level, of darkness that you had never seen in a Star Wars movie, and that was actually one of the things that I really liked about Rogue One. There wasn't there's murder from the villains, but the good guys didn't just shoot people to keep them quiet so that other people could live. And that was the whole point. That Rogue One was the gray area of the universe, and then you had Solo.
I think we both
more
or less
Solo,
liked it, didn't we?
Like, yeah, I just think that I like Ron Howard, but
it was so bland.
Yeah, it was very bland.
And also, just to let everyone know, like, the turmoil with that movie, because once again, Disney can't fucking get things right behind the scenes, was Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Mm-hmm. Like, they were supposed to direct it and write it and all that, but they split because there were some creative differences, because apparently they wanted the whole movie ad-libbed, which would have been awesome, and I love those guys. Like, they've made...
Yeah, but the problem with the ad-libbing, I think, actually, one of the issues that probably behind the scenes that Kennedy and the other guy really, Kasdan, saw that they didn't like was, I'm pretty sure that lead actor who played Solo probably couldn't ad-lib for shit.
No, I agree, because I didn't think...
It would have been like Donald Glover. It would have been like the Donald Glover movie. I mean, it's what it would have been.
It kind of already was, but I mean, I liked that guy in Hail Caesar, but I don't really think he did as well as someone else would have. Like, it was a weird casting choice. Yeah. The biggest disappointment about Solo is it didn't make enough money to spawn sequels. That would have been awesome. He already played a young Bruce Willis. It'd be awesome to play young Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. The biggest disappointment is there won't be sequels. Like, I want to see, by the way, spoilers for Solo if you haven't seen it, I want to see more Darth Maul. I want to see the Hutts.
There is a way for them to do that without having to revisit the Solo. They can have a trilogy, like call it a Bounty Hunter trilogy. Next movie's about Boba Fett, but Solo's in it. Crimson Dawn's in it. The reason you want to see a sequel, fucking Darth Maul, he could be in it, and then you basically at the end, and then the third movie would be the Obi-Wan movie.
Well, the interesting thing is, unless Disney's released more information, or I don't think they have, because I follow the film news pretty closely, everything for the most part is still on hold. They have not greenlit any more side stories because they don't have their shit together for the side stories.
Which it cracks me the fuck up. It really does. That when you start talking about the industry behind all this, it's like Disney has so much money. So what if you only break even? I mean, I get, if you don't lose money, what do you lose really?
Well, I go back to the somewhat naive thought, you could say, of why don't these guys listen to the fans? Yeah. Star Wars fans are arguably...
It's because the fans are 50, both sides of the equation.
I know, but I mean, Star Wars fans are hardcore. Like, they've stuck with the series for a long time. Yeah. Like, I think that they would be wise to listen to the fans, because the majority of the fans seem to want the same thing in terms of what they want them to do with the universe. Because after the next chapter, they are going to completely shut down the Skywalker story. Yeah. So where do they go from there? Yeah. Like, in terms of chapter, not side stories, but like, are they going to give us more Rey? I mean, are they going to give us...
I don't know. I mean, if honestly, it's like, and this is the problem, one of the main, or not a main, but this is another problem I had with Last Jedi, was it left such a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm pretty open with shit. But if they don't redeem some kind of give a fuck from the fans on the next movie, who gives a fuck about Rey's story? Who gives a fuck about Finn? Who gives a fuck about Poe or any of those characters? Because they didn't make me give enough of a fuck about Last Jedi. Rey was basically a non-character in that movie.
Yeah, I agree.
She was just basically there to make moon eyes at fucking Kylo through some telepathic fucking link and then move some boulders. Fucking story ended. Wow, that's some great character development, people.
And like most people can agree.
It's actually, I'm sorry to interject, but it's so bad that it actually honestly makes me forget about the fight scene, which you mentioned, which was fucking awesome with her and Kylo Ren fighting the world. I literally forgot about that scene in the movie. I was so fucking annoyed by her non-existent character, what they did with Luke. The ending of the movie pissed me off so much, I completely forget about that.
Well,
mentioned, like the other day, you mentioned like, oh, that fight scene. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. There was a really good fight scene in that movie.
It was so awesome. Yeah. Like, but the scene with Rey, like in that hole where like they do the reflection thing and you show a bunch of Reys and like she's just looking, like it's clear she's looking for her parentage basically, or whatever, her history. Like, and the fact that they gave you nothing, I really feel like if JJ Abrams doesn't bring it back around, that will be the story where they just gave up on that character. Yeah. The character they introduced that was supposed to carry us for 3 or more chapters, basically they abandoned. And I thought that was very bizarre. especially for this movement that we're headed towards with a female protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
where it's going to be like, instead of a male-led protagonist like Luke Skywalker, you're going to have that. It was very weird to see that approach, because they're going to have to really recover. JJ Abrams has a lot of work to do.
In the optimism side of me towards Star Wars, I will say that I think what they were doing was the next movie was going to be Leia's movie. And I think, honestly, they were going to push that agenda more. I think, Rey's going to have much more prominence. Leia was going to have much more prominence. There was going to be that female movement or whatever that a lot of movies studios are going towards. I think that was going to be the third movie. I think that was where they were headed, and they still may be headed in that direction, but they have to now, because yes, Rey was a non-character in this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. And for some reason, like, I'm not insulting anyone, like, in terms of them personally, but when you look at performances and story, who was the love interest, quote unquote, for, what's his name, Finn?
Finn? Oh, you're talking about Tran? I don't remember her name in the movie.
Yeah, Kelly Tran's her name in real life, right? Like, I'm sure she's perfectly nice, but that whole storyline was shit, man. And that closing line where she knocks him out of the way, like, for half a second I was like, they're gonna let him die. This movie is gonna end with him flying into this fucking cannon, and it's just gonna be awesome. Like, it's gonna be tragic, it's gonna be good. She knocks him out of the way, delivers that terrible line about you don't win a war by saving by something hate, but by saving the one you love, or some weird shit. And then she just passes out.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so awkward. Like, what the fuck were they doing? I don't...
it's like, I don't know what he was doing either, because, like, you set up a love triangle between Finn, her, and Rey now?
That's really what it turned into.
That's really what we fucking need. And it'd be a quad or a love square if you throw Kylo in,
I'm curious to see what happens with him in the next movie, too. Because, dude,
whatever the fuck they're calling that couple.
He made it very clear by taking out Snoke, like, he doesn't really... there's no coming back for him, I don't think.
Well, I don't think there ever was. I think his arc's going to end in death, but...
I hope his arc ends with being... like, I honestly hope it takes a weird, dark turn, and he ends on the next movie as the new Darth Vader, and we get him for another 3 set of movies.
I don't know how they're going to do that, because they have to break the First Order, the next movie. If they don't actually have another 3 set of movies set on the slate with those characters, they got to break the First Order in the next movie.
I'm just saying, hear me out.
They have to have a third Death Star, and it's got to be bigger than the other 2 Death Stars.
Get off the remake train. They're not going to remake Return of the Jedi.
Some fucking teddy bears rolling around doing bullshit.
Okay. No, we're not going to argue about Ewoks. Listen. What if the First Order... what if they fucking win, dude? What if they win and the next chapter closes out with Rey going into hiding with a group of people, like, and they're trying to figure out things. This movie? And Kylo, no, much worse, much darker, much more bleak.
So like 12 people versus 30 people.
Something like
Maybe
that.
Like 4 people. Okay, gotcha.
We need someone major to die, like Finn.
No, it's gonna be Poe.
Poe too. Who either way, I don't care. Like, I don't really care about any of them.
It's gonna be Finn's gonna have to die.
That's my biggest problem with the new
You don't care that much.
Trilogy is, dude. Like, I did care when Han Solo died in Force Awakens.
Han Solo,
but it's because you have those 3 other movies. But the writing was on the wall for his character from the beginning. You knew as soon as they said he was the dad.
Harrison Ford has wanted to die since Empire Strikes Back.
Also, Disney didn't want to pay him again, because I cannot imagine how much he got for coming back to the Force Awakens.
Yeah, no.
But either way, I think it will be cool, man. Like, you let Kylo Ren's arc be him achieving, like, full evil villain type heavy shit. I think it'd be fun.
But what's that do for his character? I mean, like, there's no more development after that.
That's it. That's why he is the baddie.
I think he achieves that halfway through the movie and then he dies. I mean, that's the better arc.
I don't think that's the better arc. I think it's a different arc. I think it would be cool for him to be the big guy. They introduce his apprentice in the next one, and then you kill him off maybe at the end of the first one of the next trilogy.
See, interestingly enough, a thought on that would be, to my mind, he loses, he doesn't die, he gains an apprentice, goes into hiding, becomes the rule of 2 within Sith moving forward.
That would be cool. I just don't want him to die. Whatever means he does it, because if he dies at the end of this one, it's gonna be, in my opinion, kind of like, I don't know. To me, it won't make much sense. The whole deal with this trilogy ending is the Skywalker storyline ending. That is what they're doing. They're putting it to bed.
Yeah, well, they already kind of have. I mean, the only one left technically is Leia now.
Oh, I think Luke is going to.
Well, Luke's going to be a Force ghost, but he's still not going to be able. Force ghosts can't affect.
Yeah.
The reality. I mean,
speaking of
you
Force
say
ghosts,
that until Yoda blows up a tree with a lightning bolt.
I was about to say, speaking of Force ghosts, when Yoda shows up, I was like,
Yoda.
this is so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
see, he's not a teddy bear. He's a lizard. They're much better. He was supposed to be, bonus fact there. If it's bonus fun fact for later. He was supposed to be a monkey in a suit.
I read about that. Yeah, no, that's really weird to me.
Well, they had so much success with Battlestar Galactica, the first series, where they put a monkey in a robotic dog suit and had him walk around. Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, well,
but
2 bonus fun facts for you.
Moving forward, if you're going to introduce a bonus fact, you need to introduce it right. That's how we're doing it now. You got to say, bonus fact! Like, you got to spring it on us. You can't just be like, bonus fact, and then throw something out.
No, I don't think I'm going to get that animated.
Either way.
Unless I'm angry. And I'm angry about bonus facts.
You know what? And I'm going to throw this out, too. Fuck all the haters on the Porgs, man. The Porgs were awesome. They were so cool.
Do you know what made the Porgs awesome, or what made them much more awesome, is if Chewbacca ate them all. And then he extincted their race.
No, dude.
Because fuck the Porgs.
No, that's unnecessary.
Fuck the Porgs.
What did they do to you? Okay, hold on. Take a second.
Whoa.
Take a second. You didn't like the movie. I get that.
Yeah.
You've aired your grievances with the movie.
Yeah.
The Porgs had nothing to do with your grievance.
No, they had nothing to do with my grievance, except for the fact they were comic relief. And
we've always had comic relief.
Yeah, but like when the guy's stepping on the lightsaber button, the other one's looking at the end of it. If it had come on, that would have been funny. But the point is, I just I don't get that. I don't need that much in Star Wars. I mean, I like the story enough without them Jar Jarring the shit. You know?
I agree, but I mean, in all honesty, I really do like the
Gunganing the shit. I mean, ooh, Misa. Oh, fuck.
Please don't. We're not going to talk about Jar Jar. I like the Porgs, and I really did like the Ewoks. I don't. From a story perspective.
They were supposed to be Wookiees. They were supposed to be on Kashyyyk.
Hey, that is true, but I'm glad we did get. Man, when I watched, was it It's episode 2,
clones,
right?
Yeah.
Dude, when we see the planet of Wookiees, like that was so badass. Yeah,
that's what you could have had Return of the Jedi.
I'm happier with the Ewoks. Whatever.
Yes,
no,
I'm happy.
Whatever.
We love you.
We're not gonna get lost in the Ewok hole. But
wow, that got odd.
But anyway, I mean, I know that I've what I've done is I've talked about a lot of stuff I hated about The Last Jedi, but I honestly did like the movie. I thought they nailed a lot. I thought that it was well done. I think, like, giving the story with Luke at the end, I understand we wanted to throw down even if Luke lost, but it was so anticlimactic. For me, it worked because it defied expectations. Because everyone thought they were going to throw down. Everyone thought they were going to throw down, and most likely Luke was going to die. But, like, I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see him go the way Obi-Wan did, like, at the end of New Hope. But I see both sides. When you watch that movie, if you watch it and pay attention, you could see both sides of why people fucking hated it and why a lot of people loved it. I don't defend it, like, because I feel like Disney did something great, they're super progressive and all this shit. I just thought it was a solid movie. Could Rian Johnson have done better? Oh, hell yeah. The writing was weak. It was possibly the weakest part of the movie. Because I don't know...
Who wrote it?
I didn't...
Casting.
Yeah, but with directors, they're going to get a say. And I feel like Rian Johnson, with what he's shown in the past, because Brick is one of the most awesome movies I've ever seen. Like, Looper had its issues, but I still enjoyed it. I feel like he could have changed some stuff on set. They would have listened to him. Yeah. So to my mind, it doesn't fall at the hands of the writer, because Kazan has proven he's a great writer. I mean, so not only that, he's a great director. I mean, I like him, and I just thought the movie gets a lot of hate, but I can't sit here and say it's undeserved. Like I said from the beginning, JJ Abrams had a lot of work to do. He has a lot to clean up.
Yeah.
Because he has to fix some shit.
Yeah, and they basically Disney just give him anything he needs to.
I think that's what they're doing essentially. Like, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. I was considering the last Star Wars movie we've all had access to was Solo. That one kind of took the air out of my cells for side stories simply because it was so bland. Like, why did they make such a bland movie when it could have been so cool?
Yeah.
Like, when you're dealing with a young Han Solo, showing us how he became, like, the suave, cool, like, just the guy he was that we were introduced to in Star Wars. Like, it was just really bland, and that's the worst thing a movie can be. Either be fucking terrible or fucking awesome, or be so weird or so bad that I kind of like it. You never want to be bland.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where I felt with it. Donald Glover rescued that movie from obscureness because he was so fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, the droid did as well.
I did like the droid.
Phoebe Walker?
That whole scene, the droid, wasn't she she's Brienne of Tar, right? From
No, that's Captain Phasma.
Who did the voice?
Phoebe Walker is from the show Love on Netflix.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think it's Love.
But yeah, no, that was odd. That whole robot liberation scene was great. Yeah. Like, it was just so cool. Like, they inadvertently started a revolution.
Yeah, that was awesome that they did that. The downside of that equation is, of course, the Millennium Falcon, her being a part of the Millennium Falcon. A lot of people had an issue with that, saying that now she's like enslaved to the Millennium Falcon. But it basically, that answers the plot hole of 3PO saying your computer has the most peculiar dialect. Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like why, but basically there's also if you read the tech notes from the building of the Millennium Falcon, yada yada. Anyway, if you get super nerd on it, the Millennium Falcon technically has 3 intelligences in there, 3 system intelligences, and she's just the navigation. There's also a one that talks about the maintenance, and there's one that talks about something else I can't remember. But yeah, there's 3 different brains that make up the Millennium Falcon. Like I said, super nerd, doesn't matter. But
didn't know any of that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bonus fact.
But thank you. There we go. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I got on Star Wars. Like, I don't know. What do you got to add?
You want to dive back into the prequel some? About, Clone
Why
Wars
the fuck
and
would we want to spend
fucking pod racing?
I think so many hours have been spent on those. Like, I don't. Honestly, I've seen them all once. Mm-hmm. Except for, unless you count the Darth Maul scene. I've watched that fight like 100 times.
I've seen it all.
I've seen all the movies once, and if I'm being completely honest, as much as I don't want to admit this, it's one of the few movies I fell asleep watching was Attack of the Clones. Mm-hmm. Because I went and saw it at like a midnight showing back when they did midnight showings and like it was a real deal. So the movie didn't start at like 1:30.
This the first time you saw it?
It was the first time I saw it. My brother and I went and saw it at midnight because it was cool. Everybody was dressed up and shit. Because we're talking... When did that come out? Like,
I actually said I went at midnight showed Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I did not do the last one.
See, I think which the ones with the arena battle?
That is Attack of the Clones.
That's the one I fell asleep, and to this day I've never finished. I fucking hate all the prequels. I don't really think there's a lot of redeeming.
Between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett. That's a really cool scene.
Oh, what about the fight? Which one took place with Yoda and they're in the thing and they're throwing the...
That's the very last Attack of the Clones. That's Yoda and the Emperor at the very
Hold on, the last one's Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith, that's correct.
That was a great fight scene.
That was a great fight scene. I am very saddened that Yoda gave up on that. He just gave up. I'm not sure why he gave up because I think he could have taken the Emperor and ended it right there. He just didn't. I don't know whether he didn't want to use his full power or what, because Yoda is more powerful than the Emperor, but I think he saw that if he did that, so maybe he becomes the Emperor. I don't know. I don't get why he didn't finish him off. But
I don't know. I just remember
because fucking Mace Windu almost killed the Emperor. But that has to do with his lightsaber style and weird shit you probably don't care about.
You said Mace Windu, so I'm going to do bonus fact.
Bonus fact.
Guess who auditioned for Mace Windu?
Lawrence Fishburne?
Tupac Shakur.
Wow.
Back in the day. So he wasn't
dead then?
No, this was back in the day when they were.
Or is he even dead now? We don't know.
That's true. Conspiracy theory. No, this was back in the day. Fact. Like when they were thinking about, like when they, I think this was when they thought George Lucas was still going to do the prequels.
Right.
So this was back then, obviously.
He did do the prequels.
Oh, I meant, shit, I can't remember the involvement. This was back when they were going to do something in the 90s, and they wanted Tupac. I don't know if they wanted
Joel Schumacher, because that sounds like a Tupac kind of guy.
I don't know if they wanted Tupac.
Fuck Joel Schumacher's Batman. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, said anyone ever with common sense. But, yeah, no, I don't think they wanted him, but I think he did audition, which is really weird to me. But, yeah, I don't know. I ain't got shit to say about the prequels, except Darth Maul's awesome.
Darth Maul was awesome, and then they killed him, and then they have regretted it for... What year did it come out?
2001?
So they've been at it for 17 years, killing
Possibly
off Darth Maul.
99, actually. Let me see.
Best goddamn villains.
Shit, it may be like 98, actually. I'm going to look that up.
I think one of the best parts about what makes Darth Maul awesome is the fact they didn't let Ray Park talk. Oh,
yeah. Why did they give him a different voice?
Because have you ever heard Ray Park talk?
Wasn't he the Frogman? And,
it's the same reason they didn't let the dude like that actually originally voiced Darth Vader talk when they got James Earl Jones in there. It's because they want a certain gravitas and they couldn't do it.
That's true.
David Prowse, I think his name was.
Came out in 99, by the way.
God damn, it's a long time ago.
It is a long time. But I mean, my last thought on Star Wars is this, and I'm sorry for all you hardcore Star Wars fans out there, but Star Wars, what it did when it came out was spectacular. And as much as I love movies, as much as I love cinema in general, I wish there was some way to get a piece of that, because what they managed to do with Star Wars and the way people felt leaving that theater is magic. That is pure magic. What they're able to do with the original 3. But I will say, when you look back on that movie, I enjoy them. I've rewatched the original 3 countless times. The acting's not good, and the writing is subpar. Yep. It was a cool space.
George Lucas sucks.
Space, that's true. It was a cool space fantasy thing with new introductions of the Force and lightsabers and all this new shit we've never seen. And technologically, what it was able to do when it came out in the when did it come out? Late 70s? 77?
Yeah, 77, 78, somewhere.
So like what he was able to do was just pure magic. But Star Wars is not the greatest movies. They're not the greatest trilogy. It's not the greatest anything. It's just stood the test of time because it was magic.
It's the world. It was the dirty space age effects. You know, the Millennium Falcon was a dirty thing because it had been used. You know, previous to that, your 2001 Space Odyssey, shit like that, everything was super clean and clean. Because the future would be clean. In other words. You know, but it wasn't. I mean, that's the same reason Blade Runner is such a huge thing. It was like it was the first dystopian movie. I don't know if we actually talked about that. I think we talked about that at one point. We've mentioned. Yeah, but it was the first one of the very first dystopian. The future wasn't going to be good. So that's the same way Star Wars was. It was dirty. It was gritty. It was thing. But yeah, you're right. The acting sucked. The plots were just like, well, okay, I could see that coming, and the writing was terrible. You know, George Lucas is a horrible dialogue writer. He is a great world builder, terrible director, terrible writer.
And I think he's a visual storyteller.
Yeah, that's the thing. He sees this world. Yeah, and if we could get his imagination spat onto the fucking canvas and then let somebody else write the fucking story, amazing. Straight up amazing. But I just those original movies, yeah, they weren't that great, but I think the magic was that they introduced so many new concepts, you know, lightsabers. I mean, the first time I saw a lightsaber, I was hooked. I've been wanting a lightsaber for years. I mean, everything about that whole technology that they did, you know, and they basically didn't have to worry about the vacuum of space. They didn't have to worry about all this other shit. It was just gunslingers and laser swords. So it's like, yeah, awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was... that's the best way to describe the original 3's magic.
Yeah, and that's something that that's something that every time you go to that first trailer in the movie and you see the Lucasfilm in the sparkly green, and then you hear that swell, and then just that bang, you know. Fuck yeah. I mean, that gets me every time, and it's all based upon the nostalgia of what I want these movies to be based on what the magic of the past. And I honestly, you know, I just have an issue, and I think a lot of people have that issue, that The Last Jedi just completely shat on that legacy.
I can see that. Oh, I totally agree.
And that's the thing. It's like, you know, Luke Skywalker. I mean, it's like Mark Hamill himself even said the first time he heard Rian Johnson's vision for Luke, he fundamentally disagreed with everything that he did with that character. And I think that's because Mark Hamill knows what the fans want. I mean, obviously he does. He's been fucking like riding this Luke Skywalker thing for a billion years. I mean, he's a really awesome voice actor, don't get me wrong. But it's true. His whole career is based around Luke Skywalker. And if that fucking guy tells your director, your writer, your creative force that this is bullshit, guess what the fans are going to think? It's fucking bullshit.
Well, I hated the ending of Force Awakens. It was complete. It took the wind out of the sails. You don't end a movie like that. Yeah. You don't end a movie with them finding Luke him tossing the light, he didn't toss it.
He didn't toss it. No, he just took it and had
he
that
took
look.
it, and you saw Luke. I think they did that so they could put Luke in the movie. It should have ended with them on a journey, because then you open up the Last Jedi with him throwing it, which really at the end of the day meant nothing to the story. So it was just really weird.
That actually was foreshadowing for the whole movie, because that right there told you that Luke was no longer the Luke you knew. Luke Skywalker wouldn't have done that. Luke Skywalker would have been like, well, where'd you get this? This is interesting to me. It's like I've tried to get rid of my past. He would have engaged. He was someone who gave a fuck. Well, and then in Last Jedi, all of a sudden, he doesn't just give a fuck about anything. He just wants to drink fucking, weird alien titty milk and die on a fucking island. I mean, I get what Rian Johnson was trying to say. I just don't agree with it. And I don't think the fans agree with it, and that's the fucking problem. It's because we wanted Luke Skywalker to still be Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi, the guy who fucking refused to kill his father, refused to give up, refused to be, taken over by the dark side, and then basically paid the price by losing his father and, almost getting killed by the fucking Emperor. That's the Luke Skywalker we remembered, and all of a sudden this fucking guy is just this broken old man.
Well, when they introduced the whole storyline of Kylo Ren and him trying to kill him, that's when it was just like that. It made zero sense, to my mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's so your kid's gonna be evil. Fucking work with him. Fucking take away his toys. I don't know. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Is and I think my main fucking problem is that they assumed that you would be okay with the time that passed and the decisions these characters made. And I wasn't okay. I'm not okay with, Luke trying to kill Kylo Ren. I'm not okay with Han and Leia getting divorced. I'm not okay with them basically putting a dark pall on what I saw as a hopeful ending to Return of the Jedi. And I think that's kind of something that bothers people. Is the fact that they basically darkened that victory. They darkened the whole Return of the Jedi.
Well, I remember hearing when Joss Whedon was doing the Avengers and Age of Ultron, there was a lot of people coming out of that camp, and this is relevant to him not knowing what to do with Thanos. He teased him at the end. That was the first big reveal.
Right.
But the reason they did Ultron is he never knew what to do with him. Right. So the Russo brothers figured it out. In my opinion, Rian Johnson didn't know what to do with Luke. He just didn't know what to do with that character.
Yeah.
So he chose to go that route. They chose to he didn't know what to do with it. Kasdan didn't know what to do with it. I don't think anyone knew what to do with his character in that movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we ended up. And now he's out of the way, essentially. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that time will tell for the next chapter. But if they can't bring it back around, I don't know if hardcore fans will forgive another movie like that.
Yeah, no, I think I literally don't know what they would have to introduce at some point. I mean, we haven't even touched on the fucking TV shows, cartoons. I hear Rebels is amazing. I've been wanting to watch it. I always thought it was like a cartoon, but I hear it actually has really some depth to it. Season 1 and 2 are kind of fluffy, but 3, 4, and 5 are really good. They start getting into the development of this, that, and the other, and then this new one come out. I don't remember what this other animation was come out, but people are saying it's fucking fluffy and no one cares. And someone basically said the whole thing's well, the first season of Rebels was fluffy and shitty. 2 was blah blah. And they ran it down, so they basically maybe they can bring this around. Then there's that live action one from Jon Favreau, and that one's supposed to be on Mandalore, which is awesome because that's one of those the histories that I've always been interested in is the Mandalorians, the fucking Boba Fett's armor and whatnot.
Yeah.
People from Mandalore actually engaged in a long-running war with the Jedi, and they won a lot because they were basically Spartans. They were fucking warriors bred from birth to fight. And then they basically developed techniques and tricks to beat Jedi.
I think that's on hold as well. I think all that's on hold.
Jesus.
But I don't know. I can't speak to anything.
Back to my default, fuck Disney. But
I can't speak to anything to do with the cartoons or any of that. I haven't watched any of that. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, yeah, from the Last Jedi and what they could possibly do with the universe, I don't know. Time will tell. I don't think we're gonna get a story insert next year. Yeah. A side story insert. I think all we're gonna get is chapter 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really have anything else.
I would not want to be JJ Abrams.
It's true, but they feel comfortable with him.
You know, but I mean that's a huge franchise resting on his shoulders because if it doesn't land, TV shows are out, movies are out, no one's gonna give a fuck anymore. You know, it's like, and they already killed the canon, so books, comics don't matter anymore. So it's like, where's your revenue stream after this?
Well, I think they've already.
It's Old Republic video games, which are badass, by the way. The stories in the fucking video games are amazing. If you ever get a chance, like Google up like fucking all the old
the Republic one and all that.
Yeah, the New Republic. All just the stories are just like, damn, that's what fucking Solo should have been. That's what Rogue One should have been. I mean, they should make movies about those plots. But yeah, anyway.
I don't know. I'm excited for episode 9 because I'll always be excited for the new movies. I just, I don't know. Yeah. It's hard for me to get on board with anything else because they've just screwed up the side stories to my mind. They should have been awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
I don't know, but what are you doing this week? Been reading anything, watching anything fun?
Well, I have continued to try to read Titan.
How's that going?
It's not going. It's DOA. It's not going to happen.
How many chapters did you make it in?
I don't know, like 2, 5, 6 pages.
What?
Yeah, no, it was boring as fuck, dude. Seriously, it wasn't any good.
6 pages?
6 pages.
You can't.
I'll
form an opinion.
I'll go to the middle and read some, and if that's more interesting, I may actually kick back into it. But it's terrible.
Okay.
I did start Iron Fist, the new series.
How many episodes are you in?
I'm about 20 minutes into the first episode.
Wow.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have even said you started it. That's not enough to say you started it.
I know, but I did actually start another one called Salvation. It's this show about like a meteor that's going to hit the Earth, and like this kid from MIT finds it, and then it's totally like the production value of like some Canadian those movies that they make.
Is it Netflix?
It's no, it's I don't know what it's on. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what it's on, but yeah, I've seen a couple episodes, or no, I started watching it, and I'm about 10 minutes into that.
Wow.
I may finish the episode. I don't know. It's in season 2's out there, so.
So yeah, at some point we'll talk about Iron Fist a little bit because I finished it.
Yeah.
I actually finished it.
I read a synopsis on it, and I heard that if you're a completist about Netflix or about the Marvel universe, watch it. If you're not, just skip to episode 8. And then they start dealing with some the article is like, oh god, here we go. So the article is like, they skipped episode 8 and they start making up for some of that whitewashing, and I'm like, oh, fuck you and your whitewashing. The goddamn comic dude is fucking white.
That's true.
Fucking get over it.
That's true.
Fucking get over it. I mean, I understand roles for minorities, this, that, and the other. I get that, but the fucking character is a white guy from China. They wanted to make him an outsider there and an outsider here. Get over it. But anyway, so no, I haven't watched it yet. That article pissed me off enough that I should probably watch it.
Well, I finished it, and I will tell you that I won't go into anything, obviously. Spoilers for anyone still watching it and for you. It was a massive improvement over the first season.
Watching paint dry would have been a massive improvement over the first season.
Well, I hate to find myself defending the first season, but I really I love it when things try to be deeper than they should be. And the storyline with the father and Ward was very Shakespearean. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that aspect.
Right.
And I really like how they allowed the business to be a pivotal part of the story and to be really a character in and of itself. But I'm not going to say the first season was barely watchable. Like, they trimmed 3 episodes off. They changed up their writing pace. It's a brawler show. Like, you're going to get a lot of... The fight choreography improved a lot.
Oh, good.
But at the end of the day... What's that guy's name?
Oh, God. I can't remember.
It's not Finn Jones.
It's Finn something.
It is. I remember seeing him in Game of Thrones. He was underwhelming. So when they cast him, I was just like, that wasn't a good call in my opinion. Anyway, we'll talk more about it after you finish it. We'll make sure we give a spoiler warning and we'll talk about it a little bit. But and also, I'm still reading Papillon, and that book continues to blow my... It's so long.
Oh, it's so long.
It continues...
You consume a lot.
To blow my fucking mind. Yeah, the last part I just read was he blew up a wall in a Colombian prison. So I'll leave it at that. It's good. Yeah, I probably got a little less than half left. It's a long book, though. It's really a lot to consume. So
that's probably why I keep thinking Hemingway wrote it, which I know he didn't. But
no, it was good.
The Old Man in the Sea.
It's been good. So
yeah.
So what is your fun fact of the week, sir?
Well, my lame fun fact, which is still interesting, is that the whole man, what was that? The Dr. Seuss, the Lorax, the movie.
Yeah, the little creature.
Yeah,
I remember that.
But the little monkey, the Lorax, was actually based on a real monkey called the Patas monkey. Apparently, Seuss went to Africa when he had some writer's block or something, and he was out there and he saw these monkeys walking around, and they went to these acacia trees. Which acacia trees, if you don't know about it, has a thorn on everything. It's just a huge pile of thorns, and there's fruit with thorns coming out of them. But these monkeys eat the fruit from the trees, and they can climb up in there for defense and whatnot. But they're one of those ground dwelling monkeys. But they look like the Lorax. They have little mustaches and everything on them and whatnot. So that was the discovered inspiration for the Lorax.
That's awesome. I just looked a picture of one up, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So that is cool. I had no idea. That's a very interesting fact. I like that.
Yeah, little long-legged little dudes just roll around on the ground.
What
you got?
My fun fact, Star Wars related. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it at in here. So Star Wars came out, I think, in June of '77.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, when that movie came out, France was still using the guillotine to execute people. They actually executed...
Still political prisoners, or was it somebody else at this point?
I don't know. Let me see. I believe, if I remember correctly, I'm looking up the article. They executed someone 3 months after Star Wars came out. Yeah, so Star Wars came out, and then the last person to be executed was on September 10th, and Star Wars came out May 25th of '77. So literally a few months later, a country used the guillotine to execute someone. I think that is interesting. We're not talking about, 100 years ago. We're talking about like 50. That's
Jesus.
that's fucking crazy to me. But didn't you have something else Star Wars related?
I did. I had a list of things, actually. More interesting is the 13 weird facts about Star Wars. And I don't know if I'll run through all 13 of them, but interesting ones that I thought was Luke Skywalker was almost a girl. Rey.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, looking back on it, it wouldn't be weird if that's what we know.
Yeah.
But when you look at the movies, it would have been weird.
Been like, Han Solo would have been hitting on Luke.
That's true. That would have been difficult to do because he would have been. Yeah, and it would have been really weird if there was a big age discrepancy. Yeah. Because it would have got creepy.
I think Lando probably would have been more interested in saving Luke the female than Luke the male.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's been a weird shit. Yoda was almost a monkey in a mask.
That is also very weird.
Yeah, I guess we can roll back to the beginning of the podcast. You may or may not have heard on the intro that we were talking about it a little bit. But yeah, they actually had a chimpanzee in Battlestar Galactica portray a weird robot dog. If you've ever seen the original Battlestar, you know what I'm talking about. Because, of course, back in the early 80s, late 70s, with sci-fi sitcoms, always had to have a kid and an animal. It was just like throwing in there like fucking the fucking Danger Will Robinson. The robot was basically the animal. It was basically the pet of the kid. There's always a boy and an animal, and then like the adults were solving problems while the kid was being a retarded in the corner. But he wasn't, because he actually had something interesting to say and actually saved the day. Anyway, yeah, 70s. Han Solo died in the original script. Kind of like a Poe Dameron, maybe.
See,
Boom, there we go.
I wonder how much was tossed around. Like, in that writer's room, I wonder how much was tossed around about who they were going to kill. That's very interesting.
Yeah, they probably were going to kill Han Solo, and then just like Poe Dameron, they're like, wow, he's like the only interesting thing in this movie. We probably shouldn't kill him before the second movie.
Very true.
The opening crawl took 3 hours to film.
Wow.
Which, because of the way they did they had the 2-foot wide die-cut yellow letters over a 6-foot long black paper background, and a camera was like passed over the crawl. That's how they did the crawl originally.
That is awesome. That's why I love the original, man. They got so creative with that shit. Yeah. That's so cool.
The trash in the Death Star garbage compactor was real. And Mark Hamill burst a blood vessel from trying to hold his breath. And the camera angle had to be adjusted for the rest of the scene so as not to show his injury.
Wow. That's awesome.
And Chewbacca's suit reeked for the rest of production because of that. It's like, why? Why would you... Why is that point real? It's like, yeah, bring in some really smelly garbage. It's like, what?
Also, if you're going to do that, film that scene last so the suit won't stink for the rest of filming.
Yep. It took 7 men to portray one Jabba the Hutt. I actually remember about this. And they actually were little people, actually, were in there. 3 puppeteers were inside. One controlled the right arm and jaw. Another handled the left hand and jaw. tongue, head, and head movements, and both were then moved to the body. A third person was in the tail. Outside, there was 1 or 2 people on radio controllers for the eyes, someone under the stage to blow cigar smoke up a tube, and another working at bellows for the lungs. Well, I mean, practical effects. I mean, which is interesting that he was and then he tried to digitize him into Star Wars for the whatever.
Yeah, the special edition. Yeah. That digital insert was just awful. Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much all I got. I mean, the rest of them are just kind of blah, blah, blah facts. But yeah, there's a few more little tidbits for you for some Star Wars knowledge.
Well, bonus fact.
General
Akbar, I always thought it was a dude in a suit.
Uh-huh.
But apparently it was a puppet. Did not know that. I thought it was a dude in a suit with makeup.
I thought it was a dude in a suit with a head that was puppeteered.
But I read that it was the head and everything, like basically him talking and stuff. It was a puppet. Thought that was really weird.
He should have yelled, "It's a trap!" As he fucking died almost basically off camera in The Last Jedi. People are so mad about that too. It's one of the greatest generals of the fucking rebellion, and he just gets blown into space. No one gives a flying fuck.
No one will ever forget his lines.
Yeah. It's a trap.
Yeah, no.
It's a trap. But that's Again, that right there just brings back my anger, and I just fuck The Last Jedi. But anyway, yeah. More bad choices on Rian Johnson's part. Again, I like him. I like Brick.
I blame Disney more. You gotta blame the person holding the leash, not the thing on the end of it.
Well, yeah, I suppose I guess that's true because they did pull the 2 Lego people from Solo.
And what they did with Rogue One, they control everything basically.
Yeah. So they actually. Let's get a list of names.
That's true. It's probably what's her face.
It's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. Because this franchise is their baby, which is weird because they've already made their money back.
Yeah.
And
again,
then
my other point is who cares if you make money?
And then they're Marvel money. So I think they're good either way. They're fine. But fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed our talk about Star Wars. Hope we didn't nerd out too much. Mainly Steven.
Yeah, I hope I nerded out just enough.
He's the nerd Star Wars guy. So, but yeah, you got anything to add? Closing notes of wisdom?
As much as I hate The Last Jedi, I still love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars. I wish they would bring more of the non-canon back into canon. I mean, there's stuff in there about Han Solo and Boba Fett eventually becoming actually friends in their old age, and having to work together a few times. But yeah, there's just a lot of characterizations, and that world is just amazing. The whole concept, the back history of it, the Sith, the Jedi, the yin, the yang of everything. Lucas made something when he pulled it out of his ass. He basically made one of the most complete universes in existence, and I think that's what continues to carry Star Wars as a franchise, as something that people want to see, that people will get angry about. And that's why people get so angry, because it has
passion.
It has basically stirred the passion of 1 to 2 generations. So I mean, yeah. So yeah.
March in the streets.
Don't fuck up, JJ Abrams.
Burn an effigy. Take it down.
Yeah.
If the next chapter sucks, we revolt.
Yeah.
I won't be there because I don't care enough, but I will encourage others to revolt.
I will hand them a torch to go burn down Disneyland, but I'm not going to go because it's not really my thing. I don't really like California. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
Well, I don't have any notes of wisdom. I feel the same way about Star Wars now that I have my entire life. I will watch the original 3 more and love them. So, But guys, thanks for listening. We enjoyed talking about this. And this has been the Discord Accords.
All right. You guys take care out there.
Take care.